there can be freedom in the whole process that you're talking about.
Sure.
That I can make those decisions, and I like myself enough, and I'm continuing to like myself or love myself more, that how you react to what I have to say is not going to impact me for long, right? And I'm okay if you don't like it. But I have the maturity piece comes in with making sure that it's intentional. And and you say integrous, do I have integrity to myself in what my choice is? And if I do, then I'm maintaining my right. My self-love. And what you do doesn't, it may impact it briefly, but not for long.
No.
And being okay with that, I think, is where I would like to move, continue moving towards. I think I have grown a lot in that regard. My Inner Knowing, empowering you to find your compass for the journey. We are dedicated to supporting you to rediscover and trust your natural ability to navigate life each day by sharing insight and experience through the lens of two professional communicators and their guests. We intend to prompt internal inquiry that supports all those willing to explore a unique path.
Well, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
It's been a long day, and we're here in the new studio. It's exciting.
It
looks
is.
So beautiful, but we're trying to get the lighting figured out. So.
Yeah. And we're sitting in camp chairs because we don't have our new chairs yet. And so everything is in process.
Yeah.
But we will figure it all out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Throwing off perfection.
Yes. Stepping in and doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to remind everybody that if you're enjoying our content, and I know you and I didn't discuss this, but if you're enjoying our content, would you please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already? And you've got to hit the bell twice to make that happen, but it really helps us, and we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in December, our Oregon retreat is full. And so very exciting with the wait list.
Yeah.
And then we're having a retreat in December for mental health professionals. That'll be here in Missouri.
More of a specialized retreat than we normally do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really is about creating space for, mental health professionals to come together, to have a place to be cared for, nurtured, process, revitalized, refreshed, renewed, all the things that we need to get grounded again. So looking forward to that in December.
Yeah, you guys, it's a big deal. It's just watching you from the sidelines, all the space you have to hold for people. It's a lot. And there's a lot of stuff going on out in the world these days. So I know that it will be a pleasure to nurture people and just take good care of them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So
looking forward to it.
No, absolutely. So today we are talking about the freedom of being disliked. So what are you thinking when I say the freedom of being
Well,
disliked?
I tighten up immediately,
Oh, okay.
Anxiety.
Okay. Tell me more.
I don't know. That's just an immediate body reaction to the topic. Especially doing what I do.
Yeah.
Sure. Trial lawyer. There's plenty of people that don't like me.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Because you're an attorney?
Well, just because of the attorney name, but I'm sure when they're on the other side, they don't like me. And that's okay with me. I have, I think it took a long time to develop a thick skin around that. But I think outside of the law piece is where I still would struggle with it. Inside the law piece, I don't. And it's typically because as I go into depositions and things, I'm not the aggressive hammer or anything like that. But I usually have my concepts of right and wrong, and I feel comfortable that they've done wrong, or I'm giving them the opportunity to come clean and tell the truth. And if they choose not to, then I don't have a problem with the fact that they don't like it or like me in that process. Now, outside of litigation, I still want people to like me. And I think there's hesitation sometimes to speak my truth. It's interesting, as you gain age and experience, wisdom, not having to win in every situation, et cetera. I start wondering, if hesitation is more just circumspection, is that the word for it? Or a greater ability to pause and not take it so personally. So I'm trying to figure that out still. Is it do I not speak because I want people to like me, or is it because I'm learning that I don't need to speak?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
What do you think about that? That's a curveball.
It's interesting for me. If I'm choosing to speak, at this point in my life, there's a part of me that has to feel like there's purpose to it. There has to be like teaching, that comes, or an opportunity. I don't think that it's interesting because I'm thinking about some recent, things that I've shared. And so what comes to mind is my process. So there is a part of me, a younger part of me, that is aware that if I say what I feel like is my truth, then I will be judged. And it comes in and it's quick and it's familiar and it doesn't last long, but it is there. And then I can go to what feels integrous to me. Who's my audience? Is there a relationship there? Is the relationship important? How much energy do I have? Am I willing to spend that energy right now? But I spend time. Like there was somebody that posted something in the GKC therapist page yesterday. And it was about the Charlie Kirk killing. And I knew that it was coming. I didn't know when, but I knew somebody would post something. And I also didn't know what it would be. I didn't know the context or what. I just had the expectation that somebody would post something. I didn't feel the need to post anything. As the creator and administrator of that group, I didn't feel the need to post anything. The group is very diverse, whether that is politically, ideologically, religious. And so to me, it wasn't something that I felt that the need to put energy into. Then somebody posted about it. I thought it was fine. He was speaking to a specific group of people, saying that he was asking other people in the group he identifies with, would you be willing to get together so we can talk about what's happening within our group? Not the bigger group of the GKC therapist page, but his smaller identifying group. I thought it was fine. I didn't see any problems with it at all. But then someone outside that group said, what about me? And then another person outside that group said, what about me? And at that point, I was like, what's my role? How much energy do I have? What do I feel like there is to potentially teach here? Knowing that whatever I say is going to upset somebody. And then I'm thoughtful about it. I write it out. I reread it many times, checking in with my body. Does this feel like a compulsion for me to post this? Does it feel settled? Do I feel like I'm being passive aggressive? So I put energy into being as clear as I can, but also trying to encourage curiosity. So for one person, I posted, I'm confused on what you're asking of this person. Are you asking them to include the whole group when they're asking to just include the people that identify similarly to them? And, their response was no. As this person has continued to respond to other people's comments, I've recognized, that they're what they were meaning. But in their comment, they did say, but what about me? And so, but I think in people continuing to be more curious, that got more clear about what the person that was posting initially meant or was intending. And that person obviously made a choice to risk the
not
reaction.
being liked.
Right, not being liked. Sure. Absolutely. And then the other person that struggled with, and there were plenty of people that liked those people's comments, the what about me comments. And then for the other person, I don't remember exactly what it was that I posted, but really just, I think I posted something like, I don't think that that's what he was suggesting. I went back and read the post twice myself just to be clear what it was that he was asking. And so ultimately the post worked out fine. It didn't go any crazy way like, it's historically it has. But there is this part of me when I'm engaging in that. It's going to be like, oh, there's going to be somebody else added to the I don't like Theresa list. And I think I've just gotten to practice more and more over the years. And, again, it's not that my little girl part doesn't struggle with that some. It just doesn't stick. It's just I am thoughtful. I am intentional. I'm very intentionally working to not be passive aggressive. I'm trying to limit the amount of bias. It is very intentional. Am I still going to? Absolutely. But for me, it's really gotten down to what feels integrous to me.
Right.
I would know if I was saying something that wasn't kind. I would know if I was saying something that was passive aggressive. I can feel it in my body. And so when I take the time
if you
to breathe,
in. Right. Mm-hmm.
Check in, get grounded, ask myself those questions. What do you really want? What's most important to you right now? Checking in. That is the best I feel like we can do, along with continuing to do our work and get more educated about people. I've said this before. I don't go on social media as much to read the content as I do the comments. Because and I know
I like
it's
the
not.
Comment. I
know
like the content and don't
more
like
the comments, right? But for me, that's really where I observe people,
Learning.
right? And so it's not as like a reactive thing to me as it is like fascinating. That is fascinating. I wouldn't have thought about that. And so I really have, put a lot of effort into the depersonalization, of things. But I do still see sometimes. I saw a post somebody made who was a fellow mental health professional, owns a group practice, and they posted something, and I was like, wow, that is unbelievable to me that you would post that. And not only that, this was the judgment piece coming out. I think you should surrender your license, because if you feel like higher education is so detrimental, then you should not be allowed to practice anymore. And that's my, reactive thing. But this person, I don't have a relationship with them. I only know them by name. They don't know me except maybe by name. I definitely did not desire to spend the energy to have a debate with someone that I don't have a relationship with. And I have so many other things in my life I want to put the energy towards. So even though I had the thought about it, I didn't do anything. Because it was like not important to me. And that wasn't about the fear of being disliked. There's no relationship. I don't care if that person doesn't like me.
Sure.
But there's no relationship, no need for me to share anything.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I did post something. What?
Just to comment on that, the juxtaposition of that, which is, I don't have relationship, and so I don't have the need to engage. Right. Versus, I want you to like me, so I'm afraid to tell you what I think. In other words, it doesn't matter to me. So I don't need to tell you what I think. I choose not to tell you what I think because it's not worth my energy. Is a huge difference.
Sure. So I was thinking about, I had a sibling that posted something too. And I saw it and, took it in. And then, one of their friends had a really significant reaction, and I felt like, wow, that was a really big reaction. And I could see where it would just keep going bad from there.
Sure.
But I actually thought my sibling handled it really well. The response to that person's comment was, hey, why don't we talk? I'll DM you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Right. So great. And then for me, what?
Just chuckling about the DM part.
Oh.
Okay, you son of a bitch.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
That would be the younger me. Actually, the younger me would have just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I did spend time and energy, probably about an hour, writing my process of what I had done for myself to get educated around this particular topic. And then I very intentionally, thoughtfully shared that process of what I had gone through, that I was curious. that I kept exploring, that I kept allowing myself to learn more, to have my, thoughts and story challenged. And I did post it, not sure what her response would be, not sure what the other people on her post would comment. And the conversation actually ended after I posted that. People stopped posting. And then she replied to it, thanking me for being who I am and doing things the way that I do them, and that she appreciated the way that I do them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it doesn't mean that I didn't have that, like, do I post that? Even if it was intentional, researched, well thought out, grounded, not compelled, I still don't know, right? I don't know how my other siblings might respond, or my parents might respond, or other people I went to high school with might respond, since we're all connected. Right?
Sure.
I've been fired plenty by clients. I think that was really hard initially. Some just disappear. Some tell you why they don't like you. What I feel like I've worked to do is to ask myself, am I aware of something that I said or didn't do or didn't say that could have contributed to the harm in that relationship? And then if there is something, how can I grow from that? I mean, there are still things I think about occasionally. There'll be a client situation that comes up, or a relationship, like a friend relationship. And I'll think, oh, remember when you did that? Did you learn from that? Are you clear about that? Is this similar to that? So again, self-inquiry, but really trying to be clear as I can about how I walk in the world and how I am in relationship. We haven't had many negative comments in the year and 9 months we've been doing this, but a few. And it's not that doesn't hit my body, when I read that, but I can go towards curiosity and compassion pretty quickly, and not let it impact, how I am. Like I heard somebody on a podcast saying they don't read the comments ever because they don't want the comments ever to change how they do things. And there was a part of me that was sad about that, because I'm like, but then you're not connected to your audience. And so your nervous system isn't resilient enough, right? Like that's work for you to do. I can't imagine ever getting to a place where I didn't read our comments, positive or negative. Absolutely much prefer the positive ones, but I'm not going to not read the negative ones. There can be learning there. And if I can't take that comment and take the learning from myself from that, like I'm the best one that knows me. And so I don't want it interpreted by somebody else. I want to know what that person had to say. I want to analyze what their comment was. I want to better understand what may have been difficult for them. And I'll keep doing my work for the rest of my life. But I don't want an interpreter. What are you thinking?
I think that in different times in our life, depending on our, I don't know, maturity, I think, experience just keeps coming back to me, because when I was in college or high school, I would say whatever I thought.
Mm-hmm.
There was no discretion.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care if you didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care if you didn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
I had plenty of people that liked me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some admired the fact that I would just say it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some freedom that comes with that. But it also comes along with a black and white worldview, a young worldview,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I'm just trying to balance out, because I'm sitting here thinking about the freedom that came with that. But I think what you're talking about as you're describing your experience is the maturity of being able to, make decisions, to pause and to reflect about the different factors that are involved. Do I have relationship? Does this matter to me? Do I want to expend the energy? Am I achieving something, that helps? Am I being helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Am I teaching? There's just so many things that those steps that you're talking about going through. Am I being kind?
Mm-hmm.
And kind can have, degrees, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, telling somebody the way that you see it,
Mm-hmm.
they won't take as kind.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're not intending to hurt them, you are telling them what you see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I think, from the freedom perspective of, gosh, I just don't have to worry about it. Just say whatever I think.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt confused or overwhelmed in relationships? Theresa and I have come up with a free mini course that we think will really help you out with a lot of the common relationship experiences so that you can improve your communication skills with all of the people in your life and really make a change for the better.
Yeah, we really believe that everybody deserves the opportunity to learn healthy relationship skills so that we can get through life having a good, healthy relationship experience. So click the link, put your email in, you'll get the PDF, spend a few hours working on it, and please let us know what your experience is. We know it will benefit you in some way. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that one was pretty good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Check.
What I think is on the other end of the spectrum, or at least moving along the spectrum, I should say, there can be freedom in the whole process that you're talking about.
Sure.
That I can make those decisions, and I like myself enough, and I'm continuing to like myself or love myself more, that how you react to what I have to say is not going to impact me for long, right? And I'm okay if you don't like it. But I have the maturity piece comes in with making sure that it's intentional. And and you say integrous, do I have integrity to myself in what my choice is? And if I do, then I'm maintaining my right. My self-love. And what you do doesn't, it may impact it briefly, but not for long.
No.
And being okay with that, I think, is where I would like to move, continue moving towards. I think I have grown a lot in that regard.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, as we're kind of delving into those other areas between, youth and more maturity, intelligence and wisdom. Those topics keep coming up.
Yes, they do.
And I think this is along those same lines. And so I enjoy looking at it from that perspective. Part of me wants that freedom to just say it, so I'm not holding it in. But I also think that we have a responsibility to ourselves, to our own integrity, that is part of self-love, to consider it and then choose, right?
Yeah, consider
and
it.
that makes me smile.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard. That's hard sometimes, right?
It is hard. It is hard. Asking ourselves those questions, being honest with ourselves. slowing down enough, to just have the conversation with ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one other thought comes to mind, babe, and it's I think in that maturing process that sometimes I've lost myself into losing the voice.
Sure.
And so you can fool yourself, I think, in some ways of,
Absolutely.
eating it versus saying it,
Right.
because you can't, you're working through that, all of those, aspects. Is it kind? Is it helpful? What are the Don Miguel Ruiz has like a series of, things
the 4
about,
agreements.
yeah. And is it wise speech essentially? And I think, and I'm still learning that. So part of me, there's like, at this age, of adulthood, or this space in adulthood, however you want to say it, even with all the experience, sometimes I regret not having said it, or I fester over not having said it. So I'm just going to figure that out. I think going through the process, you can lose some of that freedom. And I think maybe it's because I'm not present. I haven't brought myself intentionally present to make that decision. And life happens fast sometimes, right? As Ferris Bueller would say.
It does.
So we can always think, and later, well, if I'd only said this, but that usually is an ego play.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, there are moments, and I told you about one earlier today, when I, in retrospect, maybe not in the exact moment, I would have spoken up.
Yeah. I think if we are clear and we are integrous, we're asking ourselves those questions, we're slowing down enough. And I think, in my experience, the process is so much quicker than it used to be. Like, maybe it would take me 2 days to get clear, and now I can do it pretty quickly. Not always, but pretty quickly. If we're holding on to it, if it's festering, if we're, I should have said that, or I shouldn't have said that, or, in this particular case, I should have said that, then we're not clear, right?
Yeah.
We probably haven't asked ourselves those questions. We haven't spent the time. We're just in the emotion of it, still experiencing the emotion of it.
Yeah.
As opposed to shifting into curiosity with them and with us.
Curiosity can be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go there because I wanted to talk about this anyway, but it makes sense to me in this space, right? So, we had to euthanize Hughie last, what was it, October?
November.
November. My boy, 14 years old. And so we took him to the emergency vet. They did tests. His stomach was distended. It was a mess, cancer everywhere. And so, but, he could be aggressive with strangers. Just was a blue healer, and they can be. But he was such a sweetheart. It was just fear, right? But in any event, they called me up, and the nurse had double dosed him with something. And so, I think they were afraid he was going to die from the sedative they gave him. And so they called me back, you better come over. And so we get there, you're with me, and they usher us into this little, room in the middle of the building. And then they, a couple of nurses are carrying him in on a tray. And, he wakes up enough, he's kind of up like this looking, and the nurse like raises her hand over his head, and he, snaps at her. And the look she gave him was hateful. My baby is on his deathbed. she's probably the one who double dosed him already. And she, in my memory, there was a lot of trauma going on. So in my memory, her hand came back like that. Don't you bite me, is what she said to him. And then, I stepped towards him and he heard me. And then when he saw me, he just laid his head down. He was like, oh, thank God you're here, Dad. And, so the old me, the younger me, would have lit that lady up right then and there. And there's a part of me that wishes I had. And so when I talked to you about it today, I was going on the walk he and I always took this morning and thinking about him, and that came up. And so it's this question about, wanting people to like us, versus saying our piece or protecting, a loved one. And in thinking that through now, a year later, it would have been distressing to him for me to get aggressive and frightening. But part of me also feels, the younger part of me feels like I failed him by not standing up for him in that moment, which is, lady, you better back away from my dog right now. And a much younger part of me would have said it vastly more aggressively. Wouldn't have been productive. However, I wouldn't be wondering if I had protected him. So that's in going through that process, I recognize that's not a present. And there wasn't any time to evaluate. I was just, when he saw me and he was dying and they were about to do the injection. And so I just went to him and she disappeared somewhere. I don't know. If she had stood around, maybe other things would have happened. But in any event, that is still on my mind, And so this brings it up. And I talked about having a voice for ourselves or for others. But I think it comes up in this context as well, which is that balance between making an intentional choice, or did I fail to act in the moment when I should have, Anyway. But the wise part of me says I wouldn't have that festering inside me if the next day or a week later I had called the vet up and said, I'd really like to have a conversation with you. Because it wasn't the vet, it was her assistant.
Right.
Both about the overdosing and about that behavior. And that would be your teaching part.
Right.
And I would have had my voice. I would have stood up because he wasn't in immediate danger. If she'd moved to strike him, I would have intervened. But she certainly pulled her hand back. In any event, I think that would have been the best course of action. And so this, did I wanted them to like me? Maybe part of me. Maybe that hesitation in learning to be, more mature and circumspect, making intentional choices, the hesitation piece was so much. And then I think afterwards, probably just the trauma of the whole death part was overwhelming to have a rational conversation after the fact. But still, I wouldn't be where I am if I had at least followed up. So anyway, I'm probably getting off topic at this point, but it just... I guess what I'd ask you is, what do you think about that balance? What is the balance in making intentional decisions in a moment like that? How do we get ourselves in that space? I guess we do the best we can.
Yeah, babe. I mean, yes, the best we can. The reality is, I think it is lots of practice.
Yeah.
Lots of practice. When I was younger, I definitely, was loud and direct and said what was on my mind. And I didn't, take into consideration, the impact. And then I do think as part of my developmental process, I got quiet and didn't say things. And I feel like I've just, I don't know, in the last, I don't know, 5 years, started learning how to do it more effectively. I mean, I think I still had a voice. It just wasn't, as often. And it did take me a long time to get there. I think circumstances, the severity of the situation.
Right.
I think there's a lot to take into account, but I think practicing, is the best that we can do. I think I'm, better. I think about all the, surgery stuff that I've shared, like my conversation with that doctor with my last surgery, right?
Sure.
I could have lost my mind. I could have shut down. There's a lot of things I could have done. But instead, I had really already set the stage for him to be connected to me and closer to me. And so when he told me that he had changed the plans for my surgery, right, I was able to quickly say, if you don't do this today, I have to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, what do I need right now? What's most important to me?
Right.
Right. But it came quickly. But I think that's practice.
Right.
Lots of practice. Because I ask myself that all the time. What's most important to me? What do I really want right now? I'm still learning. I mean, I think there's tons of growth that I have left in this area.
We all do.
Yeah.
We all do. And I just, because I watched the conversation, right? And there are different paths you could have taken. Like me or don't like me, right? And it didn't matter to you if he didn't like you. But what mattered was building, connection. You took his hand. You started, your tears welled up.
Yeah.
And you took his hand. And you were curious with him. Way more effective than, what? Being angry. And that is the difference between going through those steps and practicing, as, over years of time, right?
Yeah.
But it's so you can go through the steps in the moment, right? And it's more automatic to go to that space, contemplate for a minute, and approach it in a different way, even while speaking your direct truth, whether he liked it or not.
Yeah.
Because being told that's not how we discussed it.
Right.
And sure, to, a surgeon's ego was not easy.
Right. Right. And so for me, again, what do I really want? What's most important for me? That I don't have to have this surgery again. Right. Because that would have been the third time.
Right. Yeah.
And what I really want right now is to be heard.
Yes.
To be seen, to be considered. And I can't have a conversation with the surgeon or then even, expect him to perform his best if I take him down.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a very vulnerable place to be, right? So the severity of it, that was a big deal for me to go back into that surgery one more time.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I want as best as I can be prepared for those situations. And so practicing in my everyday life is the best that I can do. Practice. Yeah. And releasing that, there was something you said earlier, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was thinking, right, it's not about not caring. It's that I care more. Because I think we can say, well, I was just telling you the truth, right? To me, that's not care. That's not care for you. That's just me, right? It's like my permission slip to be an ass, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I actually care about this interaction. I care about my integrity.
Right.
I care. And so then I am more intentional.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you're saying it, I see another, continuing to practice the interaction with that veterinarian assistant. I could have stepped in between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have put my hand on her shoulder and just said, he really needs you to be kind right now.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to be kind.
Yeah. Right. What are you afraid of?
Yeah. He's harmless. He has no capacity.
Right. Right.
He needs to go in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And she would have learned so much from that.
Yeah. We can do this.
Versus me screaming at her versus me talking to the boss the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's getting yourself in that space to be able to, you had that capacity with that doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And even with all my years of experience, I didn't have that capacity. And we're ready in the next time, I think, now that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, when we go back to the freedom piece, babe, I think our abandonment stuff, at least if somebody likes me, I won't be alone. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think as we continue to do our work, as we continue to find multiple ways for our needs to get met, as we continue to build healthy relationship, I think that the fear of being disliked can go down because we have created this community of people who see me, hear me, value me. And so I think it's like, okay, well, I don't need to make sure everybody likes me, right? Because I've built trust in myself.
Right.
I've built trust in my relationship with others. Right.
Yeah. I mean, going back to my example, if I had done it that way, stepped between them and calmly said those things. Let's say she said, F you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, you can leave the room now.
At that point, it doesn't matter to me.
Right. Right.
I've achieved what I needed to achieve. I've protected my dog.
Mm-hmm.
I've used my voice.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind, purposeful in the communication. So, yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is that is the space where it doesn't matter if you like me. I've had integrity in working towards being the best human I can be, but also having a voice, right? Saying my truth. And there are just so many different ways. Because the other way is I just keep envisioning a young child throwing a temper tantrum, throwing down their toys, screaming, and it's really the same thing. I want you to hear me and see me, right? And it's not very effective as adults, right?
Nope.
And it can take other forms too, like outright aggression, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I appreciate the insight. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's our life's work,
Agreed.
To get to that place of freedom, where we're choosing to live life intentionally, enough that we can release people pleasing, or we can release no voice. Where we can release not throwing a tantrum or being aggressive,
Sure.
Like we can be settled in ourself and in our body,
Right.
Learning to trust ourselves. This is all the work we're doing with My Inner Knowing, is really trying to help people learn to trust themselves. Yeah. It is diligent work. Yeah, being in a relationship with people we can have honest conversation with, that we know are going to be present with us as we grow. I had a conversation with a client today, struggling down, in a place they wanted to be in that place. And, I suggested something to try, and they got really quiet. And I said, what are you thinking? And they said, you don't want to know. I said, actually, I do. And she said, you're irritating me right now. And I said, that's okay.
Yeah.
I said, it's fine, that I'm irritating you. I said, it really is something where I'm always having to find a balance between encouraging you, supporting you, and pushing you. Because, for me, if you like me all the time, then I'm not pushing you enough. And so I do want you to be okay. And I am sorry that you are struggling. And I said, sometimes people leave here and they're like, Theresa doesn't know what she's fucking talking about. And I have to be okay with that too.
Yeah.
I choose to be okay if I am not the right fit for someone.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And to release it. Like, it's okay. Not everybody is going to like me. I cannot be that person.
Yeah.
It's not even possible. I mean, that's just a figment of our imagination that we can not that we can get through life with everybody liking us. It's just not possible. It's not.
Yeah.
So why put so much energy into something that isn't possible, and instead put the energy into becoming integrous, thoughtful, present, responsible. Allow ourselves to be challenged.
Well, and not be afraid to challenge too. And to me, what's coming up as we're speaking is, I think that we can mistake or misunderstand what kindness means.
Sure.
Right? Because I can be kind while telling you what you're doing is not okay, or telling you that I disagree with you. I can still be kind. Right? But I think, and maybe this is a lesson for me, that, having that understanding, because I think the younger part of me thinks being kind is not rocking the boat. And that, therefore, I need you to like me or I will be abandoned. So that's what kindness is. And that's not kindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I'm just always learning.
Always, yes.
I think I know it. And then we have these conversations like, really? I think that's what I do sometimes, maybe a lot. Yeah.
We're very complex. And the process of growth is messy, having that expectation for ourselves. I was speaking to another client, today, and they're really working on having a voice. And it's wonderful, to watch them, experiment. And, and they were sharing that, well, it doesn't always go very well. I was like, going from no voice to a voice, it's going to be messy.
Right.
It absolutely is going to be messy.
Right.
And so when I sent you that information to consider, it was really about just teaching you, just keep practicing. Just keep practicing.
What information did you send me?
Well, I sent them.
Them. I thought you meant
not,
me.
No, not you, not
Like
you. No, I sent them information to, consider, when they're working on having a voice, because it is just about teaching and practice. And I was like, don't stop. Like, regardless of people's reaction, to that, you're doing something you've never done before. To me, your responsibility is just learning to do it well.
Right.
And intentionally, not an expectation of perfection. And I mean, because that's not helpful, right? Just keep practicing. I think being honest with ourselves is one of the hardest things that we do, aside from being a parent. It is hard to be honest with ourselves. That really was not kind. It was not thoughtful. It was not intentional. It was careless. It was reactive. It was all kinds of things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just keep practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. There is freedom in being able to be disliked, for sure. But like I said, it's still there. Even if it's just for a moment, it just doesn't stick.
Right.
Like it used to.
Right.
But I put effort into not being careless with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be scorched earth, right?
No, it does not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really important point, and one that, I've described it to you before, just that for me to overcome the hesitation,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I go so far the other direction,
Yeah.
that it's just overt aggression to be able to say, this isn't okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
achieving that balance, that maturity, that ability to not be liked, but to do it well, right? Without being cruel.
Yeah.
Responsibility.
Yeah. Responsibility.
Is a really good word for it. How can I do this responsibly? And that answers a whole lot of the integrity stuff, et cetera. So, what a great conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to explore life with you. We encourage curiosity, self-growth, and we strive to be more compassionate every day.